Imagine Adolf Hitler, one of history's most notorious figures, being nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, you heard that right. The dictator was indeed put forth for the prestigious accolade. But as with many things in history, the truth behind this nomination is far more complex than it first appears. Our story begins in the halls of Swedish Parliament in 1939. Eric Gottfried Christian Brandt was an anti-fascist politician. He was strongly against a political system where the government holds the power of the people, often led by a dictator such as Hitler, not allowing opposing opinions or criticism, and often focusing on what is called nationalism but can sometimes disguise racism. Instead, he supported freedom, democracy, and equality for all citizens. For these reasons, he made a move that would echo throughout history. He nominated Adolf Hitler for the Nobel Peace Prize. But rest assured, this was not a glowing endorsement of the Nazi leader. Instead, it was a sarcastic jab, a biting piece of irony intended to critique his fellow parliamentarians, who were putting forward nominations for then British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain. When Chamberlain became Prime Minister in 1937, Hitler was already strengthening Germany's military and wanting more land in Europe. Chamberlain tried to avoid war after the First World War's devastation. So, in 1938, the treaty, known as the Munich Agreement, was signed by Germany, the UK, France, and Italy. This deal allowed Germany to take over part of Czechoslovakia, the Sudetenland, if Hitler promised not to take more European territories. Following the agreement, Chamberlain returned home and famously declared that he had secured peace for our time. This apparent success prompted 12 Swedish members of parliament to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. At this time, many people supported giving the Peace Prize to Chamberlain. They thought his efforts to maintain peace with Hitler might stop another war from happening. Brandt, however, saw things differently. He thought that Chamberlain's approach of trying to appease Hitler by giving in to his demands in order to avoid conflict was a mistake that would lead to more disastrous conflicts down the road. So, in a move of daring satire, he submitted a nomination letter for Hitler, loaded with exaggerated praises for the Führer's peace efforts. The letter even included references to Hitler's infamous book, Mein Kampf, and the annexation of Austria. The reaction to this nomination was swift and severe. Outrage and disbelief spread throughout the Swedish parliament and beyond. The nomination was met with outrage and disbelief, leading to fierce anger and retaliation against Brandt. His nomination letter, filled with exaggerated praise for Hitler, was meant to underscore the absurdity of appeasing a dictator. But the satire was lost on many. Brandt faced backlash and threats, misunderstood by those who took his nomination at face value. Nevertheless, he stood firm in his convictions. Brandt remained strongly anti-fascist throughout the war. He continued to criticize his own party for not accepting more Jewish refugees from Germany and spoke out about German extermination camps in Poland. Despite the controversy, the implications of Hitler's Nobel Peace Prize nomination are significant. It serves as a stark reminder of the power of satire and the importance of questioning prevailing narratives. But above all, it underscores the need to understand history in all its complexity. So, while Adolf Hitler was indeed nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, it is important to remember the context and intent behind this nomination. It was not an endorsement of his actions, but a scathing critique of those who sought to appease him. Many people didn't think Brandt's nomination of Hitler for a Nobel Prize was a joke. But looking back, history shows Brandt was right to criticize. The way countries tried to keep peace with Hitler didn't stop World War II from happening. In fact, it might have even helped start it, as it possibly emboldened Hitler's aggression. To this day, however, Brandt's joke is still sometimes misinterpreted. His nomination was a bold way to highlight the problems with appeasement, but it was misunderstood by many at the time.